Howdy. So let me begin by clarifying, this is not a list of comedy songs. This is a list of honest tunes written and performed by musicians whose view of the world just happens to be slightly skewed, to say the least. So these are, as the title states, oddball tunes. And this can refer to the lyrics, melodies, time signatures, chord progressions, weird tunings, or any and all of the above in any combination. Now, in the interest of a good varied list, I'm not including anything by Zabba, Pixies, Devo, Oingo Boingo, Bjork, Primus, etc. And even though these artists could and should be considered oddball, they're well known enough that we can almost think of them as mainstream. Sorta. Well, you get what I'm saying, hopefully. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to acknowledge New Wave Theater, a show from Los Angeles in the early 80s, which was featured on the USA Network's overnight anthology show, Night Flight. Anyone out there remember Night Flight? Well, about half of the songs on this list come from watching New Wave Theater. And check out some episodes if you can. There used to be a playlist on YouTube, and I'll link to it in the description if I can find it. So let's jump into 8 amazing oddball rock tunes.
Will you follow me? I'll guarantee to take you far away. We must leave before the eve of everlasting
grace. Number 8, The Man in the Black Sedan, Snakefinger. Now, I've heard some people call Snakefinger the English Zappa. I'm not really sure I agree, but I understand why some people might say so. Snakefinger was a fiery guitarist and a violinist who wrote obtuse, offbeat tunes, quite often featuring odd times, heavy blues, quirky melodies, and jarring chord structures. Does that remind you of anyone? So, my first exposure to Snakefinger was, you guessed it, New Wave Theater, appearing with his band, also called Snakefinger, and they played The Man in the Black Sedan. And that's the version of the song I'd like to discuss for this list. The song is weird, catchy, and incredibly funky, and it features Michael Steele on bass. You know, the original bassist for the Runaways, who later went on to be the bassist for the Bangles. And in case you don't know, she is a low-down, dirty, bionic, funky, badass bass player. If you only know her from the Bangles, check out the New Wave Theater clip and revel in her bulbous yet focused and biting bass tone. Now, for all his prowess as a player, Snakefinger plays possibly the dorkiest guitar solo I've ever heard in this tune. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure how else to describe it. Boneheaded, maybe? Moronic? Well, let's just go with dorky and boneheaded. Regardless, it's a marvelously appropriate solo for such a wonky tune, and his guitar tone is magnificent. And if you want to experience a different level of weirdness with this tune, be sure to check out the studio version from the album Greener Postures. Actually, just check out the whole damn album and call it a day. Number 7, Killer Klowns from Outer Space by the Dickies. Everyone's seen this movie, right? This is one of my fondest early college movie memories. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it right now and then meet me back here. So, Southern California punk band The Dickies built the theme song to this movie from the familiar circus strains of Barnum and Bailey's Favorite March. It's that stereotypical big top circus music you hear in movies and TV shows all the time. And when it's played on distorted guitars in a minor key, it sounds every bit as sinister as you might expect from a song about homicidal alien circus buffoons. But this is not your typical punk song. The introduction is in C minor, cycling through the chords C minor, A flat, to G major or G7. And these are chords I would usually associate with a very early jazz standard. So that stands out. But check out the verse chord progression. And it's now in C major. And it goes C major, D over a C bass, A flat major, and then B flat major over G bass note. And that's crazy because the first two chords imply the Lydian mode. But the ascending major chord resolution back to 1, the A flat major, B flat major to a C, is an Andalusian cadence. So this means within the first minute, we have a minor key introduction modulating to a verse in the parallel major key, which actually leans Lydian, which eventually resolves with an Andalusian cadence. Or maybe we can think of this ascending major chord progression as a planing major chord structure over a whole tone root sequence. In the presence of the psychotic C-augmented add 9 guitar lick at 1 minute 17 seconds, and then again at 2 minutes and 4 seconds, backs up this whole Lydian whole tone idea. Then, to top it off, the song modulates up a whole step to D major at 2 minutes and 51 seconds. This is some pretty sophisticated stuff. Now, the lyrics are fun and silly, as is singer Leonard Graves Phillips' voice, and it all adds up to a really strange and wonderful ride.
Kiko and the lavender moon not playing makes believe nobody can see. And then he waits, and then he fades, and then he bends, and then he shakes.
Number 6, Kiko and the Lavender Moon by Los Lobos. This is from Kiko, one of my hands-down favorite albums of the early 90s. I love everything about this song. The slinky mambo-style groove, the 1930s-style saxophone section, and of course all the traditional Central American stringed folk instruments. And singer David Hidalgo's voice is equal parts toasty and buttery. I truly think he could be the most unsung vocalist in all of modern rock music. I'll be totally honest, I don't really know what Kiko is about. The character Kiko seems to be an otherworldly entity who dances around and dreams about oddball collections of things such as green shoes, haircuts, and cake. It's almost like this is some kind of Masonic, alchemical, or some other esoteric narrative or imagery. And I have no idea what any of this means, and I don't really care because this is one of the quirkiest, most obtuse, and flat-out moodiest tunes I've ever come across. And the video is a stunning tour de force of Art Deco film design with spiritualist-style ghosts, silent film, slow-cranked camera work, and other turn-of-the-century style visuals. Matter of fact, the entire album, Kiko, is brilliant and should be in everyone's collection.
Yeah, run, run, catch us soon. Back to dawn, sunshine on. That way to bubble. Mother says son, she says son. You can't lose with the stuff you use. That way to bubble.
Number 5, Abba Zabba by Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. And this was a hard one because Beefheart has so many wonderful, strange tunes to pick from. Frownland, Neon Meat Dream of a Octofish, Electricity, and Metal Man Has Won His Wings, which he performed with Frank Zappa. And that's just to name a few. However, Safe as Milk's Abba Zabba is probably my favorite, featuring guitar and bass by a young Ry Cooder. Now, from what I can tell, nobody's sure what the song is about really, but I've heard a theory that it's about human evolution, with the song's protagonist, Betty Baboon, figuring out how to survive, thereby ensuring the success of her offspring. I'm not really sure I buy it. They may have just been smoking a whole bunch of pot and dropping tons of acid. I just don't know. Now, musically, on the first listen, it sounds amateurish, chaotic, and quite comical, featuring jungle drums and a churning 60s-style hollow-body bass line, framed by ultra-jangly, possibly retuned guitars. And by the way, these guitars sound amazing. And on top of all this sonic madness, Beefheart howls and croons in his sandpaper baritone, sounding for all the world like an alien mutant howlin' wolf. I'll be honest, at first I thought the performance was simply shoddy. Then I changed my mind and thought it might all just be a big put-on. Then I heard a live recording and it was a note-for-note rendering of the studio track. And that's when I realized that much like his high school buddy Frank Zappa, Beefheart was slinging some high-value avant-garde compositions at us. And much like the original Mothers, the original Magic Band was devoted to realizing those compositions. So if you're new to Captain Beefheart, start with Safe as Milk. You've got plenty of time to get to Trout Mask Replica.
Black beak stabbing through time.
Number 4, Narcissist by the Fibonaccis. And the Fibonaccis are another new wave theater discovery, and I'm just not sure accurately how to describe them. They're equal parts cabaret, prog, performance art, and avant-garde jazz. Narcissist is from their album Civilization and its Discotheques, and that is such a great album title. And it's equal parts Zappa ensemble lines, Beefheart wrong key guitar solos, and Arnold Schoenberg-inspired expressionist near atonal Sprechstimme. And it's quite a bit to take in all at once, but it's executed so meticulously and, well, musically, that the song always seems to land on its feet regardless of how out of kilter it all gets. The chromatic, claustrophobic main guitar and piano riff is a beast that might feel at home on an early Primus or an early Black Sabbath record, and it sets the mood for the entire song. And vocalist Maggie Song's melody line is angular, dissonant, and eerily reminiscent of near atonal melodies by Bela Bartok or Eric Dolphy. And her vocal delivery sounds frustrated and agitated, similar to music theater stage patter or opera recitative, as she sings about a man obsessed with the superficialities of fads and fopperies and the pleasures of the flesh, whose cure for the world is to make the world go away. Basically, it's a very deep song about a very shallow man. There are other great songs on the album, including Had It With Girls and my two other favorites, Leroy and Crickets. Number 3, Modern Medicine by Cipher. Now, I discovered Cipher on, you guessed it, New Wave Theater. The song they were playing was Brown, not Modern Medicine, but it's important to the narrative, so stick with me. I was immediately struck by how wrong everything sounded, and I couldn't figure out why. They were clearly well rehearsed, all excellent and imaginative musicians, and the song was compelling and well written, but it sounded off, and I loved it. I found an online article by vocalist Marcia Mann where she gives some background about the band and included a link to download their 1981 EP for free. Well, I jumped on it and quickly found a favorite in the track Modern Medicine. It was so distorted, noisy, grindy, dissonant, and out of tune. Except it was in tune. Matter of fact, the guitars throb and resonate almost as if they're breathing. Well, while writing this episode, I discovered an article detailing that guitarist Jose Garcia and bassist Michael Carroll played instruments which had been refretted into a 7-limit, 22-tone equal temperament tuning system. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I'll pin a link to an article below. Anyway, this tuning system allows you access to new tonalities, those breathing, resonant off chords, without restricting access to conventional sonorities. So there it is. Are they out of tune? Yes. Are they in tune? Also yes. So over this chaotic soundscape, vocalist Marcia Mann rails against the modern practices of big medicine, which she likens to torture and mutilation. And it absolutely works. This is a perfect marriage of text and music. One last thing, their EP and bonus tracks are available at cipher.band/band. And Meet, another song that they performed on New Wave Theater, is available on this new set, and it has quickly become my new favorite. This is a band you have to hear. Number 2, Lucky Number by Lene Lovich. So, I've been into Lene since about 1983, when a friend of mine dubbed a tape of her debut album Stateless for me. However, I had actually seen the Lucky Number video a couple years earlier on the USA Network, not on New Wave Theater, but either on Radio 1990 or a random documentary about early New Wave bands. I really can't remember which. Anyway, Lene is my third favorite female vocalist ever, and I plan on doing an entire episode on her discography sometime soon. So let this entry be a little bit of a teaser. Lucky Number is from the aforementioned album Stateless, and for such an obscure album, this track is actually kind of fairly well known. Musically, it's pretty straightforward, and it's everything you'd expect from early New Wave. Nervous, hard-hitting drums, a jumpy, octave-driven bass line, and snappy, clean electric guitars. Now, the lyrics are cute and clever, telling the story of how her lucky number has always been one. In other words, she's always been happy on her own. But she realizes that her lucky number's gonna be changing soon, and that it's gonna be two. And of course, this is just a clever way of saying she's found her sweetie. By the end of the tune, she sings, "I want to stay with you, my lucky numbers too." And vocally, Lene navigates the quirky, angular melodies throughout her entire vocal range. Sometimes sassy and growly, and sometimes chirpy and pristine, all culminating in the falsetto hook of ooh, 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 ooh. The song is short and sweet, clocking in at 2 minutes 51 seconds. Too short, in my opinion, but the fact that it keeps you wanting more is simply a testament to its pop song perfection.
Underwater, does it matter? Antimatter, nuclear reactor, boom, 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 boom. Who's your mother? Who's your father? I guess everything's a relative. Who's your mother?
Number 1, Janitor by Suburban Lawns. Now, I'm ashamed to admit that I had never heard this song until 2014. I knew Gidget Goes to Hell, and I'm sure I had heard some others in passing. I also remember seeing a Suburban Lawns poster in somebody's bedroom in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but somehow I missed this song. So, as I was catching up with New Wave Theater on YouTube, this one came up, and I'm still not sure I know how to process it. This tune is about as weird as it gets, but that being said, this song is brilliant and, dare I say, possibly perfect. Musically, Janitor is a catchy, pretty straightforward early 80s Southern California rock tune with driving rhythm guitars, a hyperactive bass line, and playful guitar riffs and solos. However, this song becomes something really special when vocalist Sue Tissue comes in with her throaty contralto intoning the lyrics, "All action is reaction, expansion, contraction. Man the manipulator, underwater, does it matter, antimatter. Nuclear reactor, boom, 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 boom." Now, the wordplay is so simple, yet so clever. So matter-of-fact, yet layered, nuanced, and punny. In the pre-chorus, and this is the part of the song that really breaks me up, she sings in a cartoonish voice with an exaggerated vibrato, and I'm not going to sing it that way. "Who's your mother? Who's your father? I guess everything's irrelative." And these lyrics only continue to pun on the nuclear physics theme of the verses. And as clever as the verse and pre-chorus are, it's all counteracted by the boneheaded banality of the chorus. "I'm a janitor, oh my genitals. I'm a janitor, oh my genitals. Oh my genitals, I'm a janitor." Again, I'm not really sure if this song is coming or going, but it absolutely amazes me. And in the New Wave Theater clip, it looks as if Sue is singing with her jaw wired shut. Not sure if that's the case, but it sure makes for an interesting stage performance. Also, look out for the official video. It's every bit as weird as the song is. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy what I do. Hit the notification bell so you'll always know when a new episode drops, and feel free to leave comments or any suggestions for topics you might like to see in some future videos. Also, check out my other channel, Live from the Stairwell, and check out some 100% live unplugged performances from, you guessed it, my back stairwell. Also, keep your eyes open for String 'em Up shorts where I address various good guitaring ideas in under a minute. My name's Dave Holland, and thanks for watching String 'em Up. Have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.